I got a little bit of a story for you guys. Last night, I was looking for CRT monitors. Claire did her usual Facebook Marketplace thing and she came across something very interesting. A deceased estate sale. Well, we're actually not sure if it's a deceased estate, but it's an estate sale. Now, they wanted 1,000 Aussie dollars for the lot. I lowballed them and they accepted my offer. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go over, Andrew's behind the camera for this bit. We're gonna take 2 cars over there. We're gonna pick it all up and we're gonna see what we get. Now, I'm gonna tell you for a fact that I know there's some Amiga software in there, but is there an Amiga in this lot? Maybe this is foreshadowing, I don't know. Hopefully there is, but yeah. Let's find out what we get. I know there's Pentium 2 CPUs, lots of 486s, lots of old Pentium CPUs, and some entire systems. Now I'm gonna be a hoarder even more. Let's do a track to treasure thing maybe. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm about to spend heaps of money, but let's find out.
This video is brought to you by MSI and their brand new OLED gaming monitors. Endgame OLED gaming monitors are finally here. Now is the perfect time to upgrade. Take your immersion to the next level with stunning QD OLED performance from MSI. Experience up to a blazing fast 360Hz refresh rate at 1440p or glorious 4K resolution at 240Hz for the ultimate gaming and creator setup. With true-to-life color calibration that's ready to go right out of the box, VESA Display HDR True Black 400 certification, unbeatable 0.03 millisecond grey-to-grey response times, KVM support, a massive array of connectivity ports, and an impressive 3-year OLED warranty, there's never been a better time to go OLED. Find out more about MSI's new range of QD OLED gaming monitors via the links in the video description. Get back to work, Nick.
All right, guys, it's the next day. We didn't end up filming at this person's house because I just didn't really feel like that's something I like to do. But they did invite us back, which they said we can film, but that's a whole video for another time. We'll talk about this a bit later, but we did pick up our first haul and there's so much stuff, it's insane. Claire's got a whole bunch of magazines and books from the 80s that is just so interesting to see because it shows you the way that people were thinking about computers, but the hardware. Check this out. I've got a whole bunch of 72-pin sims. There's so many memory modules here, it's not funny. I'm currently going through and cataloging everything. That's kind of why the video's out of order because I got so excited to start doing stuff. I've got heaps of SD RAM, DDR2, DDR3. I've still got heaps of RAM in packets that I still need to pull out. Heaps of stuff for like 286s. There's so much retro hardware. And just in RAM alone, that is bonkers. There's just so much stuff here. And like I said, I'm gonna go through on the weekend, get the label maker out and label everything because I've got hardware to test everything. But apparently all of this is tested. And from what I can tell you, which we'll show in a bit, is a lot of it still works perfectly. I've got this old HP LCD monitor. It doesn't look like much, but it's got VGA and a lot of the stuff that I do has VGA. But not only that, I have this. I got this monitor as well. I've been using this one to tinker around with stuff all night. Everything's really gross too, so I need to clean it. We'll get around to that because I'm gonna restore everything. Everything's gonna look beautiful. I'm really excited about this, guys. I'm sorry, like it's just, oh. I've got like 4 of these HPE Vectras. They're Pentium 3 systems and they're pretty gross.
They're so gross.
But I installed Windows 2000 on this one last night just to be a bit period correct and it works beautifully. I also have these other systems, check this out. So this is part of the lot too, not this one, this is my baby. I love this computer. This here has a Sound Blaster live drive. When I saw this in the listing on Facebook Marketplace, I'm like, ooh, I would just get it for that alone. I've always dreamt of having a live drive and you know, I have one now. The problem with this is, okay, well, this system works. I got this one up and running. I left some of the screws out because I was testing stuff. We also got like 30 IDE hard drives of a million different capacities. I'm not kidding, we have so much hardware, it's not funny now. But I got Windows XP up and running on this. This is a Pentium 4 system, but it's a socket 775 system, so it's a bit more modern, DDR2, all that stuff. But the stock Intel cooler was cooked, like the clips were broken off everything. It did power on and everything when I first set it up. I need to replace the power supply because it's stupidly loud, but I have this Scythe Fuma 2 that still supports socket 775. So I installed the Fumito on here so I could test it because it was overheating and turning off. But after I put the side cooler on, we're good to go. So this one's running Windows XP. It failed to boot this morning for some reason, but because this motherboard has SATA, probably just gonna put in like 128 gig SSD just because. I've got like a bunch of them laying around from stuff over the years. So there's that. And maybe I will show this one as well, but this one is going to be the bane of my existence because this is another Pentium 4 system. This is a 3 gigahertz Pentium 4. You guys may not be old enough to care, or you may think that this is kind of in that generation where it's not retro yet, but it will be very soon. In 2 years, this is going to be super duper retro. Pentium 4, another socket 775 system. This one has no display. So I'm going to probably gut this, clean the board up, check if any capacitors are wrecked and just replace the capacitors on the board. I know some of this stuff isn't that hard to find at the moment, but I want to preserve some stuff too. I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to tech, but yeah, that's just how I am. So this has got 2 gigs of RAM in it, Pentium 4, 3 gigahertz, 775. I can put a Core 2 Duo in this as well. This one even has PCIe. So this is probably the first kind of generation of PCIe. So it's PCIe either 1 or 2 in here. Yeah, this one doesn't work. It's actually a pretty popular old Antec case. I forgot what it was called. Oh, what is this model? Oh, I don't know. Can't remember, but yeah, it's a pretty popular old Antec case. So I'm going to clean this up, and I'm thinking of putting the hardware from the other system in here because I think it'd be a bit nicer than using the other one because the other one looks ridiculous and like super cheap and off the shelf to do like a sleeper PC. Let me know what you think in the comments down below because that's interesting to me. But this Antec one, I want to restore that because, yeah. I don't even think Antec would have one of these anymore. It's just funny, we talked to Antec and hung out with them, and they asked if we had an Antec 900 so they could have it because they don't even have one of their own. I was like, I don't have a 900, but I could probably find one, so yeah. Yeah, it's funny how case vendors ask me if I have something of old of their own. Anyway, this is why we bought this lot. Let me show you guys. This is the main reason why this lot was really exciting to me. Claire, I can't believe Claire found this. This is a classic Claire move, by the way. So we've got things like GeForce 2 MX400s. There's a whole stack of them. 64 meg versions, 32 meg versions. We've got stuff that doesn't have heat sinks and coolers on them, like this here. This is a GeForce 4 MX440. I have one of these in my Pentium 2 system already, I think, but yeah, now I've got heat sinks and stuff, so I can start to do mods on them. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole stack of like TNT 2s, like heaps of TNT 2s. It's so cool. And I know this may be dime a dozen hardware on eBay, but it's not the point. I like having a collection of stuff because one thing you guys don't see is I do a lot of tinkering with weird stuff to try and make content for you guys to be interested in. And a lot of the time it falls flat because I don't have the hardware on hand to continue down that path. I've even got really strange stuff like, which one was it? I think it was, I tried this one here. Here we go. Is it this one? I think it's this one here. This is an S3 Savage 4 Pro, which is kind of rare. These are typically 32 meg cards. This is a 16 meg version of it, which is, I mean, it's less memory, but it's kind of rare on its own. I've got stuff like S3 Trio 64 Pluses, like PCI versions. I've got a pile of Sound Blaster Live 5.1s, which is awesome. Actually, this is technically not a Sound Blaster Live 5.1, it's just Sound Blaster Live, but same. Got the funniest thing about all this is I was looking at buying some USB cards for some of the little projects I'm working on. I have 6 of them now from this lot, and these are looking to be 20 to 30 bucks each, and crazy. There's also there's even stuff like this in Sonic's PCI audio card. This on its own it's not rare, but it's one of those sound cards that you want. A sound card that I used to have, an ESS audio drive. I was saying to Claire, I wonder if there's an audio drive in here. And I got one. It's really, really cool. I know Phil's Computer Lab will love this stuff because this is right up his alley. And there's other stuff like, I found this Radeon card in one of the systems that's completely cooked. Couldn't get it to work. It's a PCIe card, but I'm gonna put it through the dishwasher. See if we get some love out of it. As well as that, guys, the most exciting part, and I know that you wanna know, CPUs. Now, I haven't even counted how many 486 DX2s and DX4s and SX2s and there's so many 486 CPUs here, it's insane. And I've got really weird ones. In fact, I've got one of the rarest 486s on the market. Well, back then, right?
Wait, pause the screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, can any of you guys see it out there? This is one of the rarest 486s ever made, and I've got 2 of them here. These are the UMC green CPUs. Now, back in the day, Intel and AMD and Cyrix were killing it with x86 CPUs, especially 486s. And when this came along, this was one of those CPUs that came a little bit too late. This came out about 1994, just when Intel was talking about Pentiums and ramping up that whole Pentium thing. So yeah, it's interesting that I have some of these. These are rare as heck. Very, very difficult to find. I've got 2 of these, so yeah. I mean, they're not expensive if you find them, but to actually find them is another thing. And we've got heaps of Socket 7 Pentiums, like Pentium MMX, 150 megahertz Pentiums, 133s, 90 megahertz. We've got Pentium overdrives. We've got Intel overdrives, which are like overclocked 486s and 586s. There's no Cyrix CPUs in here, which is a little bit disappointing, but like, look, there's so many more that I haven't even taken out yet. There's so many CPUs here. Look how many overdrives we've got. It's insane. Like there's just a box of them. Look at that. I haven't even taken stuff out of this box yet. This is another 486 DX2. There are so many. And the great thing about this is the seller had tested every single one of these. They're filthy. I'm gonna clean all of this up so we can have nice clean CPUs, but I'm gonna donate some of this to a computer museum. And I wanna keep some stuff for myself. It's just interesting that there's no AMD Socket 3 CPUs in here at all. I mean, look at this box. I haven't even taken anything out of this one yet, look. And that's just 486s. There's at least 20 of them here. It's insane. This is the 486 is when I started to get into computers. So this is why it's exciting to me because, oh, there's an AMD one. I found one. That's awesome. How good is that?
That's exciting.
I was like, I didn't have one. I just found one. That's what I mean about this lot, guys. Like, there's just so many CPUs. In fact, I found 2 CPUs I didn't know were part of the lot. There are 2 AMD Durons here, and there's an Athlon. This is like pre-Athlon XP. So I need to get motherboards for some of this stuff, which isn't going to be too hard, as well as that. You guys may remember a few years ago, I liquid cooled a Pentium 2, and a few comments we had were like, oh, you mutilated that Pentium 2. I agree. But the saving grace is for that system, I now have 2 replacement CPUs of exactly the same CPUs. My guess is this came out of a dual CPU system. Like it's a matched pair going by the serial numbers and everything as well. So yeah, that's crazy. As well as that, this is the funniest thing, and it kind of annoyed me a bit too, but this is a Pentium 2 266.
What?
Liquid nails to hold that heatsink on. That is unnecessary. The stock cooler would have been fine. I need to figure out a way to separate that nicely because I have a bunch of Pentium 2 coolers that came with the lot that I'm just going to replace this with and clean it up, but crazy. All tested and working, and the fastest of the lot, which is probably the slowest, is this 450 megahertz Celeron.
Cute.
I had one of these. I had a Windows 2000 server in, I'm going to say it was 2001 that had this CPU. And I found it on the side of a road, which was crazy back then, but yeah. I have one of those again. There's also a bunch of newer stuff in the lot too, which I wasn't expecting. Well, newer is a relative term. There's this Pentium 3 600 megahertz that I picked up out of the lot, which is kind of cool to have. I mean, I have a bunch of Pentium 3s, but just to have another one spare is nice. I have a 733 and 1 gigahertz, and now this one here. I'll link to our Pentium 3 build video that I did directly after Computex last year when I had COVID. So yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
COVID.
Okay. As well as that, there is something strange going on here because we have even older stuff. Let me explain. We have this Socket 3 adapter here. This one will adapt a 386 to a 486 system. And I have, oh, I can't believe I have these because sometimes these are soldered directly to motherboards, but I have socketable 386s as well. So these are all tested and working apparently, but this is a chip from like 1985, dude.
It's older than me.
Yeah. This one is from 87. This one, yeah, like just so many like I can't believe it. Like maybe you guys don't get excited about this, but this is my childhood, my nostalgia right here. Like this is like a dream come true for me. I can't believe I found this stuff. It's insane to me. I love it. But there's other weird stuff in this lot too. Even stuff like Pentium 200 MMXs. Now I have one of these in my Voodoo 2 gaming PC. The problem I had was it had the cooler epoxied to the top of the chip. Now I have the exact same chip with no cooler. That means we can put some stupid cooler on it, or we can liquid cool a Pentium. That's the thing going on in my head right now. It's unnecessary. Also, I've got some like newer Pentium 4 like there's a seller on here. These ones have mangled pins. We're gonna have to fix all of those. I'll probably donate some of this to some other channels. If you're interested and you're into this stuff and you have a channel, let me know. And yeah, so we've got like some Pentium 4s as well. This one is mangled. I don't know if you can see how cooked that is.
Oh yeah.
But I can fix that, that's no problem. I do have a motherboard that this will go into, so that'll help me fix it basically to test it. I have a lot of motherboards and stuff that you guys have never seen, but look how filthy all these chips are. Apparently they're all tested working, which is good.
Flip her over.
Yeah, this one is a little bit mangled. It's not too bad. Not as bad as the other ones, but this is the one I would probably give to someone else. This is only a fraction of what we have. Look, there's just another chip here. In fact, let's do this together. We haven't even opened this one. Let's see what we got in this one. Shall we find out? Another 486 SX. I'm just gonna pile them on top of each other because I don't care because I have so many now. Another 486.
Is this like opening Pokemon cards?
This is Pokemon cards for nerds in their late 30s. Another 486. This is insane. This is a box of 486 SXs.
That's kind of cool.
That's insane. I haven't even opened this thing. There's so many in here. Oh my gosh. Look at that. So some of these have stickers on the back from when they were initially tested. This one's from 1994.
Whoa.
That's a lot older than some of the people watching this video.
That would be a good wine.
Oh yes. And look at this one. This one has a handwritten note from the 21st of October 1994.
Whoa.
This is incredibly exciting. The thing is that you may not know about me personally is my most consumed content when I watch stuff is retro content. Like I live for this stuff. Last night I had all this, like most of this laid out because I was like figuring out like what everything was. And then Bindi jumped on the table and did that cat thing where you know how they're so precise when they walk between things? She was like walking with her little paws between all the CPUs. I'm like, don't you knock anything off the table, child. I swear to God. You'll be in a world of pain. But yes, she didn't. And I screamed at her. I was like, Bindi, get off my table. And she was like, I'm sorry, Dad. And she ran away. And then I picked her up. And I'm going to show you this in a sec too, how I hold Bindi. I hold her like this and I pat her and she loves it. That's how I usually hold her. She sometimes puts up a little bit of a fight, but like recently, she's let me hold her like this. I think she just gives up.
I would too.
She just gives up a little bit.
She's not having it.
No, she's okay.
Dambians.
I think she likes the feeling of me like, you know what I mean?
She doesn't look happy.
At least she's not yelling. She usually yells. But she don't mind. Like we figured this one out not too long ago that if you hold her like this, she's okay. We've never been able to hold her this long since we've had her.
Okay, put her down.
Come on, baby. I gotta put you down gently because you're old.
Good job, Beanie.
But yeah, I've been holding the cat like that lately, and yeah, she here's a funny story. Every night she expects me to put her into bed like that. She waits for me. She comes and finds me, and she's like, "Dad, pick me up." And then I put my arm under her, and then we have like a bed in our bedroom, and I like slide her into the bed, and she like glides off. You know, like a boat going in at a boat ramp. It's like that, but into her bed.
You spoil this cat.
I love her. She's the best. That's the first time she's molted on me that much.
She needs a brush.
She does. It's your job. You brush the cat. Okay, what else we got? What else we got going on?
So arms.
Books. Oh my God, we have books. Look how much RAM there is. There's RAM. It's like Scrooge McDuck, you know, when he jumps into the vault of coins, but I could just do it with 72-pin Sims. We got a lot of documentation and books and stuff with the lot as well. This is really interesting stuff, like this magazine. Well, this is more of a handbook, but it's got a lot of stuff that we take for granted with technology and how it works. And Claire was having a nice read, and she was kind of like talking to me about all the stuff that was in these books last night, which I found pretty interesting. It's all stuff that I know, but you just don't think about it. But what we're thinking of doing with this kind of stuff, because it is interesting, is donating it to a local computer museum so they can preserve it, and then other people can see it. So it's not just us looking at this stuff. You know, even though we spend our own money on this stuff, who cares? There's people who find this stuff interesting. So we want to share that. Claire found this binder last night that I think is really interesting, and she was reading some of the articles and stuff from these like magazines. Are they magazines, Claire? What are they? They're
like a little publication of computers that you would...
But for all different types of computers, like Commodore 64s, VIC-20s, like all of... This is just insane to me that this is all preserved so well.
I think it was a weekly or a monthly thing where it'd show you what's new that month or that week, and then it'd go into some coding. And then there were questions in there like, do you think that robots will take over? How small are computers going to get?
Are computers intelligent enough to have emotions and think for themselves? And I'm like, oh, they don't even know what's going on right now with computers.
I think there's from 1984.
1984, that's even before I was born. Not only just, not too much before I was born. I'm an old man still, remember. I'm an 80s baby. Right, so there's all of these just incredible things. And what I find most interesting is like, look at these illustrations. This is from the 80s. Look how cool that looks. How cool is that? Like they use the computer to do that. Or someone is really good at illustrating. I guarantee that's hand-drawn.
There's some really cool hand-drawn like cutouts of items. If you look towards the middle, it'll show you, I think it's called a cross-section.
Oh, that's photo.
Yeah, there's photos of like...
I don't want it to pull the thing out the middle because it's got like things where you can post stuff to. Someone should send them a letter and see what the deal is with that.
Yeah, there's illustrated cross-sections somewhere in there.
That's amazing. That is actually really, really interesting.
We need to read them before we give them.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking of like scanning everything and putting them on archive.org for everyone as well. Maybe that's what we could do. It's also about the hardware. I was looking at just having some of this stuff on hand, like modems. I've seen a whole bunch of videos lately of people making their own ISPs. I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be fun? So we could probably do that. As well as capture cards and TV tuner cards. But, you know, last year or the year before, I was into just recapturing all my Firewire tapes, and I had to buy a bunch of hardware for it. I've got all of it anyway from the lot. There's so much stuff. There's like SCSI controllers, there's like DAT tapes and all types of backup stuff. But Claire found a whole bunch of Amiga software. We've got Sensible Soccer 2. Is it? No, that's the original Sensible Soccer, my bad. 2 discs. Amiga software, which is great. Got to keep these ones away from magnets. There's just a whole bunch of like Amiga games, and apparently I was talking to the guy who's organizing this estate. They have another place that's not where we went that has a whole bunch of Amigas, so we're going to go there. He said we can go and film. We'll do that in a couple of weeks, and we're going to go and see all the Amiga stuff they have, because he said I can have some of the Amigas, which is going to be awesome. And this is really cool. I can't believe Claire found this, but original copy of Workbench 1.3. And I just thought that was amazing. I had these back in the day, but you know, things get lost to time. But I have original copies of it. I don't need to have original copies of this stuff because it's easy to find on the internet. We've got copies of Windows 1.0 in there as well. There's other really cool stuff like brand new magazines that have never been opened. This one says get ready for Windows Vista. No one was ready for that. No one wanted that. I completely skipped Vista. There's stuff have like original copies of Windows XP.
I actually had that exact.
I think we all had that at one point, but we've got original copies and like the manuals for Windows NT Workstation. Hopefully, if the serial number's on there, you can use it. I don't care. Who cares? But there's other stuff, like there's manuals for games, there's original copies of Office XP, still in box. This one I thought was really cool. I don't know why. Claire loved the artwork.
I didn't love it. I just thought it was funny.
Original boxed version of the Windows NT4 option pack. This actually works on Windows 95 as well, but this has never been opened.
And it never will.
I never want to open it. I'm definitely keeping this one because that's one of those things. But this is awesome. Look at this mangled box of Windows 95 upgrade.
But there's no CD in it.
Don't say that. There is. There is.
Not.
Well, it's got the hologram of authenticity.
So you know it's authentic.
Yeah, you know this is a real box. You know it's real cardboard. We've got Need for Speed SE, but there's also stuff like keyboards with like DIN 5 connectors, like AT and XT keyboards, which is stuff I'm always looking for, which I just don't have. And they're really expensive to buy. Like if I want a nice keyboard like that on eBay, it's like $100 or $200 because people just like that with this old stuff. But this is amazing. We have boxes upon boxes of brand new 5¼ inch sealed floppy disks. Like heaps of them. And we've got boxes upon boxes of 3.5 inch floppy disks as well. Like, you guys probably just don't care about this stuff, but this stuff is hard to find. It just is hard to find. Look, sealed. These aren't high density, these are only double density, but still. There's heaps of them. There's just so much stuff. And I know, comments, oh, that's crap. Why would you want any of this stuff? Preservation. Look at this. I haven't even opened this yet, but this is a tested working. I'm gonna open this for you guys live. This is probably not the right thing for them to have wrapped this in.
Probably not, but you know what? It's okay.
But this is a 286 motherboard. So this one is tested and working. It doesn't have any horrible batteries on the board. Anything that would cause this PCB damage has been clipped.
It is here, the wild nerd in his element.
And that's how you know it's legit, because it's been repaired. Soldering job is okay, I suppose. Like, it's fine. I probably could do a bit better myself. But this one is apparently working, but the power supply that was attached to it exploded. But yeah, we have a full motherboard for it here. We're going to get more from this person too. That's the best part. We've got lots more coming. But it's going to be Amiga stuff next. Hopefully, crossing fingers, it's going to be Commodore 64s and Amigas and stuff like that. Like I said, guys, I've actually still got a whole another car load that we haven't unloaded yet. That's the other thing. I'm kind of dreading that. All this other stuff we've got at systems, we'll probably end up gutting most of it, pulling CPUs out, pulling motherboards out, and getting rid of all the cases that are just like old and crusty. Once we have all the cases and stuff going, we've got all the motherboards, I can build new systems and new cases. Like, remember the Fractal Pop from like last year and the year before, Claire?
Yes.
It has 5¼ inch drive bays in it.
Oh, yeah.
So we can use anything that's ATX, we can use a modern power supply, and we can use all the old drives and stuff, but they'll go in a modern case.
So you got a bunch of drives back there.
Oh no, we haven't even scratched the surface. Okay, this one's gonna be a bit difficult, but I don't even know if I can pick that up.
Yeah, maybe don't.
Okay, well that's a whole box full of IDE hard drives. We've even got like laptop drives. We've got MFM drives as well, which is crazy. We don't need this stuff. A whole bunch of optical drives, which is actually pretty useful to me. It's something I always look for weird stuff. Like at the moment, I'm in the process of converting my Amiga A1200 into a desktop system. And I found a nice desktop case in the lot yesterday that I might be using to put the Amiga in. But like do full conversion, like gut it out, cut out like all the motherboard IO, like just make it like amazing. And I want to put a CD-ROM drive on my Amiga because it's something I've always wanted to do. I've never owned an Amiga with a CD-ROM drive.
Good thing you've got a whole box of them.
Oh, do I ever? Check this out.
Wow.
So we've got a 40 meg MFM hard drive, 40 megabytes. I was saying to Claire, when she takes a photo on her camera, it's bigger. A single photo is bigger than this whole hard drive. Can you imagine how much this would cost back in the day as well? Crazy. This one, probably send this one along with the 286. It's a good match. Plenty of optical drives. I'm going to clean all this stuff up, but all this stuff is tested and working. It's just a bit manky, if I'm being honest. So, I mean, that's what happens. Yeah, there's heaps of floppy drives. Like, look, here's a bag of tested working floppy drives. It's just so much, guys. There was a deck, like print switch, where you could connect two computers up to the switch, and then you could have the same printer on both computers, but it says, oh, don't turn the switch while printing. Half of the excitement for me with all of this older stuff isn't the fact that it's old and I get nostalgia doing stuff with it. It's the fact that I look at something from 1992 and I'm like, I wonder if I can get this thing on the internet. You know, that's how I'm feeling. One PC from every generation from the 486 upwards, basically. Like a PC that I can go to, I can grab, and it works. Does that make sense? Yeah. Is that like a realistic thing to want?
I mean, for a person like you, yes. For me, no.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I'm a different kind of guy.
I am kind of sad I don't have any Cyrix CPUs though. Because I used to have this Cyrix 586, and it was 100 and maybe 120 megahertz, and it just felt so potent compared to my 486, and it was still a socket 3 chip anyway. Getting a bit too nostalgic for my own good. Yeah, I think that's it.
Fun stuff. There's like a box of laptops, a box of cables.
Oh, there's so much stuff. And you know the funniest part about all this is we've been trying to clear stuff out, and here's me spending money on getting more crap, but it's not really crap. And you know the funniest thing, Claire, my dad's gonna watch this video and it's gonna be like, we threw all that kind of crap out years ago, now you're just trying to get it again.
Sorry, Dad.
Sorry. Well, he doesn't really get a say, does he?
He gets a new computer soon though.
Yeah, I'm building him a new computer in the Fractal Mood. That video will be coming very soon. It's gonna be his new flight sim rig. I'm gonna do something really cool. I'm saying too much now. But he doesn't know what we're going to do yet.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise. We've got something really cool come from my old man.
We're going to buy him a plane. Oh, wait, no.
Maybe he can do that for me.
I wish.
I deserve it. Yeah, all right. I'm done. I'm going to clean up now. And
maybe go do the dishes that are sitting in the background.
You guys don't understand. This was such like a thing. Like, okay, let me just give you guys a bit more of an idea of how this transpired. Okay, story time. Yesterday, as I mentioned, like we went and picked up this whole lot, but I was in the middle of filming a review for one of the new B-Link mini PCs, the SER8, and I basically dropped everything and stopped making that video to go and pick up all of this, and it ended up just taking up the rest of the day. So yeah, our SER8 review is coming really, really soon, and it's a little bit delayed because I had to jump on this before someone else did. All this hardware is from a generation where it's beginning to get a bit expensive, especially for motherboards and stuff like that, and a little bit inaccessible, and also because a lot of it's failing. There's people who are repairing it who are charging a lot of money just to have it. Now, there's lots of different ways you can access this type of technology without having the hardware. There's emulation projects, there's like x86 box, there's now ways to do glide wrapping with modern GPUs and all this kind of stuff. Like you can do it, but the one thing that I've learned over tinkering over the years is a lot of the time it's just not as good and as enjoyable as having the real thing in front of you. Yeah, we've got virtualization and emulation and all this stuff, but it's just not the same. And I said this with our Amiga content that we've done in the past. I think I've taken most of it off the channel now, but it'll come back in its own way. That, especially with Amigas, people will just charge whatever they want for it and whatever they want for the computers and all these new accelerators, basically because they can, and people are trying to use the fact that it's old to justify whatever price they want. But the other side of that is a lot of people invest their own time in making new projects. So that's why they charge that money, because they've invested their own time and they think that their time is worth money, which I can totally agree with. But for the older hardware as like a base system, I think it's a little bit expensive. But again, I will say that, you know, if you're repairing stuff and you're spending your own money repairing it, then that's fine. Like, just charge whatever you want. But I do find it a little bit disappointing that some of this stuff is out of the reach of a lot of people. And what I'm hoping to do with this hardware isn't just for me to hoard it, is I spent my own money on this because I want to share some of it with some people too. So there's other YouTubers I'm going to reach out to and be like, hey, do you want some of this stuff? But like, there will be stuff that I'm keeping because, as I mentioned, I want to have a system from each generation that I can just pull out of storage and tinker with whenever I want. Like the other day, LGR did a video about Windows NT on a dual CPU system, and I'm like, man, that gave me so much nostalgia, and I wanted to start tinkering with Windows NT again, just because I loved Windows NT. It was such a stupidly weird operating system. But you see, there's things that like inspire me, and like I said earlier in the video, a lot of the stuff that I watch personally is retro content. So I've just got this pull to the dark side all of the time with wanting to spend money on all of this. And the story with all this, and I don't know if I've said this, but essentially what was happening was, the other night I was saying to Claire, hey, I'm looking for a CRT monitor. I'm always looking for a CRT monitor. I just want to have a really nice 17 or 19-inch CRT monitor that I can do 15 kilohertz things with on old, weird, obscure Amigas and just weird computers where I can use a monitor like that. I found a website in Melbourne, and it's a company that sells some CRT stuff, so I might end up eventually buying one anyway, as long as they still have them in stock. But Claire was on Facebook Marketplace. I don't really use that stuff, and she found this deceased estate lot. And at first I was like, oh, that's a lot of stuff. And then I saw the CPUs and I'm like, hang on a minute. This stuff is gonna get thrown out, or someone's not gonna buy it. And the interesting thing with all of this lot is, when I spoke to the person who was running the estate, they said to me that there was just so much stuff that they wanted to sell it as a lot, and they had listed it at a much higher price, but they dropped the price. And I said, you know what, that's a good thing, because even the price that they listed it for, I didn't pay. I paid less, but essentially because it's such an obscure collection of hardware, they thought it might be hard to move individually. And I was like, you know what? I'll give you 900 Australian dollars for everything. And then if there's stuff that I don't care about, I'll get rid of it. And you know, that's that. But even little things that are worth it for me, like a bunch of these 486s, like 10 of them is going to be worth almost half of that. So, you know, it's worth it to me. Like, I would have bought this stuff over time anyway. And that's how Claire and I kind of justified it. She's like, you're going to spend your money on this crap over time anyway. Well, not crap.
I didn't call it crap.
Well, she said this stuff, but I would have eventually just spent money on this stuff anyway. And just doing it in one go and just having everything accessible for the foreseeable future to do projects to show you guys interesting stuff, I thought was worth the money. And it's not just about making content. As I get older, I feel the pull to my nostalgia even more and more and more. And I want to relive like some of those feelings. And just looking at this stuff makes me so freaking excited, guys. I can't explain it. I get so excited just looking at this. Again, I know younger people may not get it. It may look like junk, but this is like childhood and teenage memories to me. This is like this is the generation of hardware that really got me into doing all of this. Without stuff like these Pentium 2s and even like the original Pentiums and these overdrive chips and all the 486s, I would never be into any of this, right? Obviously I had Amigas and stuff before. That was one of those computers that, you know, it's for gaming and stuff, but actual computing and doing stuff, this is what got me interested in it. And yeah, you know, people can exploit me financially for nostalgic, because, you know, that's my one weak spot, is this stuff. Yeah, I'm so excited to start doing everything with this. Obviously, it's all been tested, but I'm going to be testing everything again, because we're going to catalog everything. If you're in Sydney and you run a 3D printing shop, or you have a 3D printer that you want to design some stuff for me, please reach out, because I want to make CPU trays and holders for all these CPUs and everything. And yeah, that's it. I'm done. Is that it? Is that the whole story? I guess that is the whole story. I don't know. I think I've just rambled for like 2 hours. But yeah, I'm just really excited to start playing around with this stuff. There's so much going on here. It's very overwhelming, to be honest. Yeah, I love it. I'm very excited. I'm thinking of all the things I wanted to do with all this hardware. And the thing is as well, before I end this, I do own a lot of this type of stuff already, but not in this volume, not like this. This is absurd. This is crazy. And I'm just excited to start building some stuff. Man, this is going to be so much fun. Also, Phil's Computer Lab. I hope you see this, and you probably will. Hit me up. I got some stuff for you to start playing with too. Because I know there's some stuff in my collection that you don't have, and I'm willing to give it to you.
Whoa.
Well, I love Phil. He's awesome. Okay, now I'm done. Thanks for watching. And yeah, special thanks to MSI for sponsoring this video, I suppose. Because without sponsors like MSI and being able to put ads on the video like we did, there's no way I could afford to spend $900 on all of this stuff. Thanks for watching. Crazy. There's not a single MSI product in this lot. Oh, there is actually. This video card's an MSI one. The one broken card. I wonder if they'll RMA that for me. Oh, speaking of, I need to go take a motherboard to MSI RMA tomorrow.
Are you still talking?
I am. Goodbye. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.